All right, this is the third time for this. Let's see if this works. Um, I was I'm with the group that's trying to get something on the ballot. The group's called Americans Take Action, and the act that's trying to get on ballot is called CA, California Free Act 2016. Anyhow, yesterday I made a video. We were doing canvassing type deal, and yesterday I made a video. I had a poster type deal set up for like the beginning of the video. Kind of read this and then go into video. Video is a question and answer type deal that was after the movie. Got most of it, didn't get all of it. Hopefully, people who did produce this gathering make it available. If they do and I see it, I'll most definitely pass it along. Um, Anyhow, the poster I found out after I made it, it didn't really look too well, at least on screen, on phone and computer both. The words were too small and looks good as far as pamphlet type deal, but as far as something trying to read on the screen, it just didn't work well at all. So I'm going to go ahead and read this off the screen, and if everything goes right, I'll put this as a prequel to this video here. Kind of long video, but it's well worth it, and you can go from there. So I'm sorry for lack of eye contact, but screen. I'm with a group by the name of Americans Take Action. At a canvassing event for this group, CAFreeAct.com, CaliforniaFreeAct.com, CAFreeAct.com. I saw a movie titled The Burden concerning fossil fuel, the military, and national security. Very good documentary, and I highly suggest it when it comes out. This was kind of a prequel type deal. After the movie, there was this question and answer period with a panel to which money drowning out of politics and Wolf-pac.com both came up. I do not know who brought that up. Let's just say I was the only one in the room with the Save Democracy shirt in bright orange in the room. Oops. I did not even think that Wolf-pac would get mentioned, but there you go. And by the way, there's a local group of this organization or canvassing type group. I'm going to put right here just so you see what the shirt looks like. And here goes the video. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, first question is for anybody who's up for it. Did Kissinger have a major, critical, important role in the creation of OPEC? I don't know who wants that.
I can confidently say I have no idea. Before my time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a little before my time as well. Help us out with this.
Well, I would like to be able to say it's probably before my time, but that's probably not the case. That's a complex question. Obviously,
Can you hold the mic closer?
obviously the reality of oil, and you heard it from the military today, is that oil is a dependence that we've had for a long time. It was actually a change, and I want to give you an idea on the oil side, is that the change actually began by Commerce Stockton, who went to the U.S. Navy back in the 1800s and asked to change because they had just invented a screw to propel a Navy ship in Switzerland, and he wanted to bring it and it military from a sailing military to a steam pod, what they call steam pod, an oil-driven one or a coal-driven one. They said no because of the fear that all the sails from the sailing ships would end up with the pollution on it. Well, eventually it became that, and I don't think there's any one person. I think it's just a natural dependency. People like to burn things and make stuff, and that's where it went.
Thank you. We do have a question for Mr. McNerney, and it is, as far as you know, is the military considering more use of nuclear power? Just switch out of one danger for another.
I guess in terms of electricity generation, I'm not sure. I know that there are still, nuclear-powered submarines, and I know Gary could probably talk about this a little bit better. The Navy does use that to propel a number of their ships, which is something they've done for a while. I don't know if they are in fact looking at doing anything specifically. I mean, a nuclear power plant probably isn't going to be just for the military anyway. It would be a plant that would be somewhere and everyone would get electricity from it. So I don't know that there are any military-specific designs on something like that, but I guess it's not impossible. I don't know if you have a thought on that. Not to put you on the spot.
I don't personally know of any official plan about that. I heard a proposal by a military officer or retired officer to put nuclear power plants on military bases, but that's to make the grid more robust and defend it against cyber attack. But so we have more local generation that's away from the internet. It can't be attacked from outside. That could go online. But I don't know of any program that the Department of Defense has to put nuclear power on bases.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar.
So many of us in here say, let's hope not. Okay, Lindsay has a question. We live in an area that gets an F grade for air quality every year. What should our communities be working on most urgently?
Well, you're right. The San Joaquin Valley does have tremendous impacts from air pollution. And on an individual level, what I would say, what everyone can do is to work to reduce your own footprint, consider alternative transportation, whether it's an electric vehicle, whether it's public transportation. There's all just a little bit that we can all do in our individual behavior to lower the impacts. On a community level, it's really important for the state, for regional and local agencies to hear from citizen groups like yourself that this is an important thing that we should be concerned about, that we should continue on this path of aggressive policy in order to protect public health and also look to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So on a statewide level, we have air quality goals that we are held to at the federal level, and of course, the San Joaquin Valley continues to be significantly impacted by air quality and is a major focus of our policy and planning, as well as investment. The state's cap and trade program has generated billions of dollars, which is intended to be invested back into communities. And on the air quality front, specifically, incentives for clean cars, incentives for regional agencies to plan communities in better ways, and investments in expansion and improvement of public transportation are some ways that the state is hoping to address some global air quality concerns.
If I can piggyback on that, then one of our other questions does deal with something that was just addressed, and that is, how do we get more charging stations or ports in Stockton and San Joaquin County? The person who wrote this has an electric car, has a RAV4, and is finding difficulty in finding charging stations. So that's kind of along with the same line of what can we do in this area, and that's one of the things. Do you have any?
Sure. So in 2012, Governor Brown issued an executive order mandating 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles on the road by 2025. Another aggressive, ambitious policy. That's what our governor is all about, though. So over the last several years, he put many state agencies to task to all get together and figure out how are we going to do this, how are we going to chart the course. The focus primarily from our agency's perspective has been working with the automakers to get them to actually manufacture and sell these vehicles, make them available to consumers, match consumer expectations of what you expect of your gas-powered vehicle with what you can now expect from these new emerging vehicles. You know, I think we can all admit at the state level that we have a long way to go when it comes to charging infrastructure. Some of the cap and trade proceeds are going to be invested into our zero emission vehicle strategy. But we do have a long way to go. And again, this is one of the places where we need to hear from the early adopters, from the electric vehicle drivers about the challenges that you're having, as well as the experiences you're having on the consumer side. So keep bringing these issues back up to us and help us figure out how we can do a better job.
Thank you. You have the name and the title and everything you need to know to contact the state and let them know what we do need and how and what the hell we need to keep this going. Ed, they would like to know, is there any danger in hydrogen technology? Does it explode? Is it flammable?
It's a good question. The Department of Energy has done a lot of tests on hydrogen. Hydrogen has a fastest flame speed of any fuel. The hydrogen production utilization lab at UC Davis has done some work for us, and one of the things that they're looking at is blending hydrogen into fossil fuel based in order to clean up the emissions on them. The interesting thing about hydrogen is, one, it's very light, so if you were to have a balloon of natural gas on the table, it would sit right here. If you had a balloon of hydrogen and you let it go, it would travel 45 feet per second straight up. So if you release it, you are less likely to be in the range of whatever the harm that might be. The other interesting thing, which is what the premise of my invention is that hydrogen doesn't burn the infrared range. What that means is if you have your barbecue or your car or whatever, when the carbon fuel burns, you can be next to it and feel the heat radiate off of it, which means if you have an explosion or a fire, you can be burned from it. Hydrogen does not burn in the infrared range. It burns on the opposite end of the spectrum. It burns in the ultraviolet range. When there is a fire or an explosion from that, you can be right next to it and you will not feel the heat. So from that perspective, it's safer. In automobile testing on the explosion, to compare that to the automobile currently, you will see that the automobiles that they exploded through the Department of Energy engulfed the entire vehicle and would have killed all the occupants. With the hydrogen, it popped through the tank and the flame went straight up, and it's very loud, but nobody would be hurt in that scenario. So it is safer than natural gas, and it's safer than gasoline. And right now, we let people fuel up gasoline cars every day, our grandmas, our children, and we're now learning how to utilize hydrogen the exact same way. So that's.
Thank you. We learn something new every day. Okay, we have three questions that kind of go in the same order. I'm going to read each of them, try to kind of synopsis them, but they all have to do with what if kinds of questions. What can the military leaders, can they override the decisions and policies of politicians in the name of national security? And with money drowning our politics, like the Koch brothers that we keep hearing of, it's hard to move past oil into renewable. And every step taken gets rebuked. And what can we do about the influence of the Western States Petroleum Association, which spent so much money to defeat the part of recent legislation? So I see them all as kind of in the same category of asking, how are we going to overcome all of these influences that are probably bigger than we are?
So I got to say, I don't know to the first two questions, but I feel confident I can answer this one, and then we can pass it down as well. The first, the national security question, that's a good question, and not to lawyer geek out on anyone. The answer is kind of domestically, not really. Congress, with the, of course, signature of the president, has the ability to set law, and the military must be bound by those laws like everyone else. Under certain national security situations, the president, acting in his capacity as the president, can go beyond that. But that's usually overseas, and pretty rare. Pretty rare because it's difficult legally and extraordinarily costly politically. So there are some narrow circumstances where the military and the defense apparatus and the executive branch can go beyond the Congress, but they typically do not do it. And even if they did, for a number of practical reasons, like Congress could cut off their funding and do all other kinds of things. So it is not something we usually do, but it does happen occasionally. As far as the other questions, I see those as campaign finance reform questions. I think that's exactly what's at the heart of that. And I'm, just my own self, I'm definitely supportive of campaign finance reform. I know my father is as well, very supportive of it. And it's very hard to deal with massive sums of money at this individual kind of grassroots level. The impact is quite overwhelming. So I think campaign finance reform would go a long way into addressing those second two questions about influence.
The only thing that I would add is that despite the fact that we know how powerful and influential money is in politics, we also have another powerful force working in our favor, which is economics. Frankly, the economics is changing when it comes to fossil fuel investment. It's seen as a risky investment. It's a finite resource. The economics when it comes to renewable energy has become much more cost effective over the last several years of adoption. It's become cost effective to the level where it's competitive with traditional fossil fuels and does not have the types of negative impacts that we're all talking about today. So it's really a matter of time and just letting these markets grow and nurturing entrepreneurs like the one sitting to the side of me. So it might not be a very satisfying answer, but we definitely have these forces kind of working against each other, and I think ultimately in our favor.
Yeah, economics is the driving force, and this is not a new thing. This happened when the Rockefellers were trying to control the energy market with kerosene. That was a big deal. Edison came in with the DC current and was trying to market it, and they tried to deal with that, and there was a lot of money thrown against them. Then Westinghouse came along with Tesla and came up with AC, and you know what the final outcome was. Money is the driving force. We're a capitalistic market. A better mousetrap will always win eventually. One of the things that I know from being the youngest of 7, an uncle 32 plus times, and a grandpa 5 times, is many hands make light work. And the first thing that I did is I went and sat with some guys I've been building with for 28 years. United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters and International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And the National Electrical Contractors came in with $500,000 and built the first prototype of our technology in Modesto, California at the local UA 442. San Joaquin Unified Air Pollution Control District has endorsed our product. It's something that they don't normally do, but because the only thing that emits is heat and water, that was a big deal. Which goes back to the conversation in regards to the air quality in San Joaquin County. The other part that I want to go back to is on the nuclear aspect. And remember that all nuclear operations are steam operations. They're steam boilers. They just are heated with nuclear material. So steam boilers are here. And then hydrogen from a mobile source is, I was one of the guys who built a coal-fired power plant in the Port of Stockton. We ran that, and it was the first of its kind. It was the cleanest coal-fired power plant in the world until we just tore it down, and it's been replaced, and it's now a biomass unit. That power plant put out roughly about 4 times the amount of NOx as a Suburban running down the freeway at 55 miles an hour, okay? So when we all drove over here today, we put more air pollution into it. Going to hydrogen is the future. Switzerland is converting every mobile source to hydrogen. They're going complete hydrogen. BMW has built a hydrogen M7, does 227 miles an hour. It's an internal combustion engine, and they've got designs and are building plastic engine blocks so they can print them anywhere. The military will pick up on this stuff, and when they have a problem in the field, they can have printers with the stuff and print the components in the field.
I'm glad I know how to turn my computer on and off. And we learned to answer our cell phone too. And the Wolf-pac group, we have representatives here today who submitted some of those questions, and regarding the financing, they will be very glad to hear that, because their goal is to to overturn the Citizens United. So we do have that in San Joaquin County also, a strong group with them, and they are online. We'll